All right, guys. It's Tim from the Board Game Rundown. I am working through some technical difficulties real quick because we tried to have all this set up nice, but for whatever reason, it didn't like what I had going on. So I had to call an audible, pull it this way, make it happen. So, hope y'all are here. I got a special guest hiding behind me somewhere. Say hi, Clark.
Hi.
All right, Clarky Man's with me for a little bit. He's home on winter break.
Yep.
And
I go to camp.
Yeah, and you're going to go to camp.
Yes.
So, before we get into the Cthulhu Wars deep dive, which we will be doing, I just want to talk a little bit about the trolls. What's up, Jeff? Some of the trolls on Facebook and the various Facebook groups, which, happens. But they, Barnes & Noble, if you're in the States, Barnes & Noble had a big 50% off all of their board games sale over the last 2 days. So not today, but, yesterday and the day before. So everybody, myself included, you run out to Barnes & Noble, you grab some games, 50% off. It's a great opportunity to get some stuff that maybe you wouldn't normally buy. Maybe you can't afford to pay for it at full price. I don't judge either way. Oh, hey, lady. I don't judge it either way. Clarky, look, somebody said hi to you.
Hi.
I don't judge either way. There's a good deal, man. Go get it. I don't blame you one bit. Obviously, support your local game stores when you can, because that's the brick and mortars are what really keep this hobby going. But also, man, I don't want to spend 35 bucks on Marvel Zombies, but I'll spend like $17 on it. Why not? So anyway, some ding dong on a Facebook group posted this thing about how it's bad for board game publishers and designers that Barnes & Noble is having this sale, and it's really sad, and this is just terrible that this is happening. And the guy doesn't know what he's talking about, because really what is happening is what they do every year. I work in retail. Stores have to offload inventory because they pay taxes on that inventory. They have already purchased all of that inventory from a supplier, right? They order all those games, they pay for them, and then it's up to them to sell them. Now, they could return them, but they're usually charged a restocking fee, and that can be easily 25%. So why wouldn't you just offload as much of your inventory as possible, and make up whatever little money? Also, the other thing is you're driving people into your store. Anytime you get people in the store, odds are they're not just leaving with board games, because guess what? My kids bought books while we were there. So they're getting your money, whether, and then, it's like, the hope you don't ever, don't plan on seeing games from those people again. Well, as Mike pointed out, Capstone, for example, had Arc Nova for sale. Capstone is going to be doing just fine. Simon, I bought a Simon game. They'll be fine. Not, my little Barnes & Noble purchase, everybody's Barnes & Noble purchase of any of their games is not hurting them. So anyways, it's just a whole thing. People are just, I think this dude was just, I don't know. He was just being a Grinch, man. Just being a Grinch. So, in true Mike fashion, I created a little ticker to go along with it. And Clark is riding that pony all the way to the bank. So, anyway,
Hey, what did you say that?
I said that because look, you look like you're riding a horse. So, guys, the good stuff. Well, first, it is Whiskey Wednesday. I am representing. I got a little bit of Makers right here. I need to give him some to get him to fall asleep, but that won't happen. Mike was unavailable tonight. So I just decided to take this opportunity to reach out on the Discord. Somebody asked, it probably was Jeff, actually. Somebody asked for a Cthulhu Wars sort of breakdown, deep dive. And any opportunity I get to talk about one of my all-time favorite games, happy to oblige. No problem. But I'm going to open it up with my absolute favorite couple of lines from Lovecraft. and this is in reference specifically to Cthulhu. That is not dead, which can eternal lie with strange eons, even death may die. And so, yeah, that little bit of prose is referring to that, Cthulhu sleeps so long and deeply in his city of Rile, or whatever you pronounce it. I can't pronounce it. Under the blue waves of the Pacific. Yeah, but he is down there, and basically he can just wait us out. It doesn't matter. He'll come back eventually. Whenever his followers get everything together. Okay, buddy, you gotta stop. You gotta sit down. Hey, you're supposed to sit down and help me. Whenever his followers get it together and they quit getting thwarted by brave investigators, they're gonna pop up. He's gonna rise and start to take over the world. So, and that's basically the premise of Cthulhu Wars. So in Cthulhu Wars, the idea behind it is that it is originally a 4 to 5 player asymmetrical area control game, and the story is that all of these cultists that worship all these various great old ones and outer gods and everything have been working to bring about, basically thin the planes of reality so that the old ones can break through and Cthulhu can rise. And well, good news for them, they succeeded. Bad news is all these great old ones are showing up at once, and so the factions are battling for dominance while and then the winner takes all, right? Or at least all being planet Earth. So it's played out on a big map of the world. There are ocean spots. The world wraps around the map. So if you are on the West Coast and the Pacific Ocean is on one side of the map, and it's also on the other side of the map, so it can basically go from like the United States, Pacific Ocean to Asia, like that. Just a couple moves. The way you play the game is pretty straightforward. You have Clark Perry. You got to sit down, bud. Oh, that might have done it. He didn't like the middle name getting evoked. I love you, buddy. See you later. I'm getting threatened off camera. But no, so basically what it is you have X amount of power. You've got cultists, and the cultists can control gates. And the gates are going to help you generate power in between rounds and also give you victory points. You're going to spend that power to summon you. You basically spend the power to do everything. It's a power to move a unit. It's a power or there's X amount of power to summon a unit, depending on the unit. Even summon your great old one. Now, there is a very strict set of rules on how all of these things work, and each great old one breaks one of these rules in their own way. So that's pretty cool. I find that very appealing because it makes the game truly asymmetrical. It's not as asymmetrical as Root. If you fundamentally know how to play one faction, you can play any faction. You may not play them well, but you can play any faction. The factions in the base game are probably the most straightforward. And I say that, but like Sandy Peterson, his favorite faction is the King in Yellow. That's the one faction I've never won with. That's Yellow Sign. That's I cannot win with Yellow Sign. I just cannot. I've had very effective games, but the problem is when I do well with King in Yellow, it's because I'm twirling, I'm doing my own thing, but I'm also not able to proactively try to stop other players from winning and achieving their goals. So when I can play like Cthulhu or the Crawling Chaos, which is Nyarlathotep's faction, I can go around and I can mess with other people and stop them from doing what they need to do to win, but I can still achieve all of my goals. And so Yellow Sign is really tough for me because I almost have to rely on other people to fight it out. And if they're not doing that, or if and I'm just not getting points fast enough to keep up, or I can't get like this big swing of points at the end, it's really tough. And I have just never been able to get the timing of all of that to work. But it's a very popular faction, especially early on. When the game first came out, oh gosh, what was that 2014 when the game first came out? People were like posting like win rate. King and Yellow was super high up there, and I just could not. I couldn't do it. Um, but anyway, so I'm going to deep dive. I'm going to go in through a bunch of factions. I'm going to talk about what I like about them, maybe some of their weaknesses. I even have notes from back in the day of like some opening strategies. Like one main strategy is because you're going to, so it's deceiving, right? Because you get power from controlling gates and having your cultists on the board. So controlled gate's going to give you 2 power. It's going to give you 1 victory point if you control that gate at the end of a round. A cultist on the board is worth 1 power per cultist. Super important. So you start the game with 6 cultists and 1 controlled gate, 8 power. Everybody starts with 8 power. Boom, you're off and running. Everybody, probably, except for King and Yellow, probably needs to build 1 gate in the first turn if they can. I say that, but I'm going to contradict myself multiple times. So one of the strategies that I learned very early on, never build 2 gates in the first turn. You're going to have a heck of a time holding on to them because now you're putting a big old target on your back right away by having, because that would give you 3 gates right off the bat. But it also is going to deplete you of your power because when you're out of power, you can't take actions. And if somebody is just going around real slow, they're going to be able to, all they need is a real cheap monster and they can bop around the board and start kidnapping your cultists and abducting your cultists. So Bob, I agree with you, dude. I will figure them out eventually, but I can't yet. I cannot yet. But anyways, so you don't want to build 2 gates in the first turn. You don't want to do it because while that would give you 3 gates, if you're playing with anybody that has any bit of experience, they're going to go over there and take one of those gates or at least vacate one of those gates because your minions are going to be completely just outmatched. You're not going to have anybody to protect your cultists. So yeah, Dan, that might be it. But kudos to you for building 7. That's tough. Oh yeah, Nix, we're talking some Cthulhu Wars tonight, buddy. But I'm gonna answer questions, anything that doesn't, even if it doesn't apply to Cthulhu Wars. So just bring up whatever you want. You got questions, man? Like, let's hang out. We're hanging out. But Jeff requested a deep dive onto the Cthulhu Wars, and it's one of my all-time favorite games. So I was happy to do it. So anyways, so don't build 2 gates. First off, boom. So I'm going to start with just Cthulhu. Cthulhu is the most straightforward. Anytime I'm playing this game with new people, the newest, greenest, no pun intended, person, I give them Cthulhu. He is the most, I shouldn't say easiest, but he is the most straightforward great old one to start with. Because basically his cultists can turn into deep ones if you have that spell book unlocked. And so that's a default way to sort of protect them. You may not generate that extra power the next round, but you're going to have a cultist you can put out on the board and you're not giving somebody else power because they took your cultist. So Cthulhu is great. Also, here's the thing is great old ones usually cost like 8 to 10 power to put out. And so you don't want your great old one to get, to die because, oh, that's rough. And it sucks because that's a lot of power. That's a huge investment, right? Because secretly Cthulhu Wars is almost like an economy game because you're balancing how much you need to maximize how you're spending your power like each round, sort of like a Blood Rage. Cthulhu Wars was first, but sort of like a Blood Rage. But anyways, but Cthulhu, 10 power to put him out the first time. It's really tough. And yeah, Nix, dude, if we ever get together, man, you can play my copy. I'll play with you. But yeah, it was expensive. I got in on the Kickstarters way long ago and have never turned back. But yeah, but Cthulhu costs 10 to put out. So you're basically sacrificing a turn to put Cthulhu out. But here's the deal. Cthulhu, any other time you summon him only costs you 4. And when you summon a great old one, you get an elder sign, which is like a hidden victory point, 1 to 3 points. It's a random token you draw out of a bag, right? So Cthulhu, you just throw him around. Like Bob said, Cthulhu is a beat stick. You put him out there, and if he dies, who cares? Because guess what? Cthulhu also eats 1 unit before every battle anyway. So he's already making enemies pay just for getting in fights with him, because now you are eating up units. And hopefully rolling some kills. Yes, it is you roll for combat. So some people don't like that. It happens. But anyways, so Cthulhu, bam, 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 right? Boom, boom, boom. He dies. Who cares? Poof, bring him back. It's only 4 more power after every other round, and you're going to get an elder sign every time. It's amazing. It's a great way to just rush points and just bother people. Yes, you will be a target, but also who cares, because you're Cthulhu. And yeah, Cthulhu's a beast. I love him. One of my all-time favorites, and is a go-to. My favorite faction, the faction that I win the most with, is, but it's tough. You got to be smart, is Crawling Chaos. So this is Nyarlathotep, right? Okay. He's a big bad dude. Looks like he's playing air guitar. And yeah, Bob, blue faction. All of his followers can move 2 spaces. They're considered flying. So they can fly all over the map. You can just be you can get almost anywhere super fast. And that makes him really dangerous. But he's also sort of a glass cannon, right? The units can be expensive, but if utilized properly, I mean, you can just, I think of him more as like the vulture swooping in and vulturing those points, right? Somebody let other people do the battle. As a matter of fact, he's got units called the Hunting Horrors, and they fly in. You can move them to where there's a battle and then just participate. And so it's a really good way to just stick your nose in a fight, or you don't get to participate, but you're hanging out there unless you are already in the battle, because only 2 people can fight at a time. But you get in there, and then on your turn, well, I'm just going to start a fight now and just mop up the mess. Or I'm just going to abduct these cultists that are left here exposed. I mean, it's just great. People will hate you, but that's also a theme of the game. If you're playing it right, people are going to hate you. Nyarlathotep also, his strength is based on how many other spell books like you and your opponent have. So the further along your opponent is in the game, the stronger he gets too. So it makes him really nasty, and people want to avoid him. The next faction that is in the main box is the Black Goat. This is the red faction. Here's old Chubby, the goat of the woods. She's basically a fertility god. It took me a little while to master how to play her, but if you can do it, man, oh, she's really good, because her units, most of the time you can only summon 1 unit at a gate at a time. But her, you can summon as many units as you can pay for. Now you basically pick 1 and plop them all out. She also has ghouls, which then can go to battles that are occurring, and then basically they just cause pain, which will cause the units to flee. So they drive people out of regions where there's fights, which can then clear it up, so that you are then in position to take over a gate or abduct a cultist. Very good, very strategic. You just have to time her right. Because some of her units are expensive, but man, they can be really powerful. But if you time her right, you can just really populate the board with a bunch of red. And yeah, and to get your spell books, you actually have to do that. You've got to be in a bunch of different areas with a bunch of different people. I usually do that by just sort of making like alliances, or not even alliances, just sort of like non-aggression pacts, right? Like, because just because you're in an area with another unit doesn't mean you're starting a fight or doing anything. You could just be passing through. You actually have to spend power to instigate that fight, right? To start that fight. And not everybody wants to do that, right? Because it's like, well, I've already got my turn mapped out. I know how I want to spend all my power. I don't want to waste it fighting, the Black Goat when they're just trying to share a thing with me to get spell book. I don't care. They can have that spell book because I'm working on my spell book. And if I get mine, I'm going to whoop them later. So no big deal. Then we get to the yellow sign. Oh my gosh. Yellow sign is so tough for me. So yellow sign, basically you have to summon the king in yellow. And then the king in yellow is going to go around to all these different parts on the board that have these little runic signs, right? There's 3 different types of signs. And he has to desecrate on these signs to unlock spellbook. And desecrate is basically rolling a 6-sided die, and you've got to roll a lower number than you have units there. Good news is, if you desecrate and you fail, you can add a unit. Bad, you know. So, but the bad news is sometimes you don't always have a ton of units. Also, King in Yellow can only be summoned where there's no gate. So that's tough sometimes. We had a guy, there was a game, and this guy was gonna win. He needed to desecrate one other spot, and he had almost had 30 victory points, which is the game end trigger. And we were all kind of behind, and so I pointed out, not very nicely, that if this dude built a gate on this one spot, he won't be able to summon King in Yellow anymore. And if he builds a gate there, then all we got to do is kill the King in Yellow. And the King in Yellow is terrible at combat. He just schleps around and like summons guys, right? And we built that gate, and then we just pounded, took out the King in Yellow. He couldn't desecrate. He couldn't get his last spell book. So he was essentially out of the game. Now, he was only out for like a turn because then the game ended. I might have won. I don't remember. It was like 2015. It was a terrible thing to do, but I was, playing with some people that were being kind of cutthroat. And I'm like, okay, that's how it's going to be. Then that's how it's going to be. Needless to say, I did not win with King in Yellow, but I made sure the King in Yellow didn't win. But man, he is really good, really popular. I can't crack him yet. And just so you know, oh yeah, here we go. There is the King in Yellow in all of his glory. And then the real great old one, the real banger, Hastor himself. Yeah. And he's baller. He's tough. He is big and bad in a battle. So those are the core box guys. The 4 that come in the box. Honestly, Nix, if it's a game that even sounds interesting to you, man, I would, if you can swing the core box, or you find it in a good good deal or whatever. The core box has plenty of good stuff. One of the Kemet designers over Cthulhu Wars. It wasn't Kemet. It wasn't Kemet, Bob. I've never met the Kemet designers. I don't know who it was. But I might have done that. You might have stolen an objective card from me when you were already winning by 20 points. And I had no chance of winning. And then I had a chance to score even less points, Bob. But I don't know. I'm not bitter. I don't know. I probably did tell somebody to attack you. They did. Okay. So one of the most popular factions, and one that I recommend, yeah, Bob. Bob, I knew it, but I knew you were going to do something, man. I knew it. How long have we known each other? I knew you were going to pull something eventually. Okay, so one of the most popular factions, one of my favorite expansion factions, and that is the Windwalker, dude. So Windwalker was the second faction to have 2 different great old ones, Ithaca and I will mispronounce Ron Tegoth. Ron Tegoth is the crab thing. Windwalker is awesome. They gain the ability to hibernate. So normally you can't pass, or you can pass, but you lose all your power if you pass. The Windwalker can hibernate, and then they save their power for a future turn. So they're going to, you add 1 power to your total for each great old one in play. Crazy. Then you take no further actions, and then at the start of your gather power phase, you do not lose your power, but add it to your total. So that is huge. Super, super huge. Also, the Wendigos get this ability. That's one of their cheaper monsters. They get this ability. I believe they can show up anywhere where there's been a casualty. And then this guy, I believe it takes 2 hits to kill him, and you can turn a hit into a pain. Let's see. Yeah, if he receives a pain or a kill, you can spend 1 power to cancel its effect, and he can only receive 1 combat result per battle. He is a beast to kill. He sucks. It's terrible fighting him. Um, and then Ithaca, the crazy thing about Ithaca is when he is in play, your dudes can't be captured. And that is huge because you can leave yourself open and just go around the board and just raise hell. Um, so yeah, he has been one sometimes where like nobody's playing Ithaca because it's almost too broken. He's really tough. Uh, but I think not. We later on we got to the point where you could counter that a little bit if people know, and they stop the buildup. It's like because you still have to be able to control your gates and things like that. Oh no, we're not. Listen here, look at this, Nix. We're not complimenting Bob. We're not going to do that. That's not cool. No, Bobby knows. Bobby knows. Bob and I love tactical strategy games, especially going head to head against each other. It's always a blast. He is one of my greatest foes. If Pete ever watched this show, Pete was on a couple of like the really old early on rundown episodes. Pete's also a shark, dude. He's really good and really fun to play against and absolutely cutthroat. But man, if you can beat him, he cries like a baby. It's so good. It's just slurp up those tears. Love you, Pete, but I know you're not watching. All right, here's a faction that was really hard to win with for a little while, and I think this is the one that Bob was talking about because Bob was playing as Yog Sothoth as the opener of the way. So the opener of the way is crazy. This dude is a gate. He is a gate. The other thing is his dudes upgrade if they survive a battle. If they just get pained, they mutate. And so he basically throws himself into battles to have his units survive and then level up. Basically, they turn into one unit more expensive than the previous. So bloop, bloop, bloop. And there's usually like 3 tiers to that, right? So, and then the other thing is the spawn of Yog Sothoth can like actually pick up gates and move them around, which is huge and super annoying because you could pick up a gate with somebody else's cultist on it, walk it out of a region to where he's not protected, and then bloop, gobble up that cultist. It's amazing and horrifying, and I love it. It's amazing. But he does have this way to like just get points. And one time Bob did this thing where it was like double your points and you could do it one time. And Bob did it and it surged him really far ahead. And everybody, myself included, kind of panicked and we're like, oh crap. So we all jumped on Bob really fast and took him down really hard. And so that's the thing with opener is that if you can time that move well, it can win you the game. But if you do it too soon and people realize it, they are all going to come after you. I mean, big time. They're all going to come after you. And it's also kind of intimidating that your units just kind of can level up. So you have to be careful throwing guys into the battles because people can get skittish about that and, get a little cranky, a little funky. And, but yeah, man, opener's really good. It took me a while to win with opener and figure out that timing. But once I got it, bang, no problems. Just this big purple blob opener. Next one, very popular faction, but also really hard to win with. Just because, again, I think the more complex the faction, like the more appealing it is, but at the same time, they can be really difficult with the timing and then the strategies, because also you just don't know how every other players are going to react to you when you are pursuing your strategies. So like, for example, Cthulhu, I can run my Cthulhu strategy and it doesn't matter what other people are doing because like Bob said, he is a beat stick. I am just going through bam, bam, bam and fighting and just no worries. I can bring him back out. It's really hard to keep Cthulhu down. I can do really well with Nyarlathotep, the Crawling Chaos, that blue faction. Because again, they're so mobile, it's not hard to recoup as long as you don't lose your great old one. So if you're protecting him, you're fine. Same thing with the Black Goat. because she spawns her units so fast. As long as you have a decent amount of power, you can really like recover from a bad turn or two. But the sleeper, man, the sleeper, Sathagwa, yeah, I don't know. He's just a big old lazy mole dude. He's got some crazy abilities. So like he's got a unit called the Serpent Man that can unlock an ability where you put it on somebody else's faction and you can use their special ability, which is fantastic. People don't always take kindly to that, but what are you gonna do? But then Sathagwa, if you've got him in play, he lets you do, which is the most powerful ability, two of the most powerful abilities in the whole game. One is so the Windwalker, he passes, but he's done for the round. He saves that power for next round. That's huge. That's great. The Sleeper, he passes. Turn comes back around to him. He can still go. Oh, I'll pass. I'll wait till everybody is out of power, and then I'm going to take all of my actions unchecked. Another thing a Sleeper can do is you can normally you can only abduct a cultist from an opponent that is like unprotected. So if there's not another monster there, right? Sleeper, he can abduct monsters just like he abducts cultists. It's amazing and horrible at the same time. It's horrible to be on the receiving end. It's amazing to dish it out. The issue with the Sleeper, though, is once you start doing stuff like that, everybody is probably coming after you. And it's also probably fairly close to end game because it takes a little while to build up to that really powerful ability. And if you are able to do it quickly, man, you are just then a wrecking ball that is really hard to stop. And I've been on the receiving end and I've been on the dealing end of that. And it is it is rough. What's up, Mikey? It looks like a dump you took earlier. Oh boy. Oh boy. Why don't you just get on here then, you chump? Anyways, I only got 2 more factions left to go. And then we could talk about other stuff. But so one of the newer there you go. That was for Dan. My watch went off. One of the newer factions, and I have yet to play with them actually, because all the new people wanted to jump it back in when you want mechanics. Oh yeah. So anyways, you guys, Chocho, I've never actually got to play with Chocho yet, because everybody, when I teach new players or other players that have played before, because this is my game and I played it so much, I always defer to other people. Like, you could pick your faction, you could pick my faction. Full disclosure, I've never won with King and Yellow. Chocho is really powerful and easy to do, sort of. But yeah, I don't think I've ever played with a Chocho. And Chocho, that's this guy. It's Ubu Sathla, and he looks like a chewed up wad of bubblegum. I haven't put any shade on this one. But man, Chocho, basically, like when enemy players do like a ritual of annihilation, which is a way to get extra like victory points. Basically, somebody can pay you, the Chocho, a doom point, one of their doom points, or they get oh, no, it's not that. They don't pay you. They either get like, I'm going to do a ritual of annihilation, so I've either got to take one less, or I've got to let the Chocho have one too. Man, they're just like always growing no matter what. They're really tough. The great old one just gets stronger like every round. He's got extra high priests. They just, oh my gosh, they can just, yeah. I mean, in a high priest, you can sacrifice to gain extra power, which is crazy because it can put you back into like rounds if you've already passed. And yeah, he has been awakened. You roll a d6 and increases his growth counter by that die roll. So Chocho just gets bigger. Ubu Sathla gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you just gotta take them out. Their units have ways to excuse me, the units have ways to basically like just be really a pain to kill. I don't have their spell books out, but man, Chocho is really tough. They are really tough. They have a very high win percentage in my group because the thing is you have to. Oh, that's the thing is if you abduct, we call them empty calories because if you abduct a Chocho cultist, you don't get anything for it. Normally, you get a power when you abduct somebody's cultist, or like during the gather power phase, you give them their cultist back, you gain a power. Here you go. Chocho, all you're doing is keeping them away, which is important. But instead of being like a 2-point swing, it's only a 1-point swing, and it's not as valuable a move, and blah, blah, blah. And so with Chocho, you almost have to get people to gang up on them a little bit because one person is not going to keep Chocho at bay. And it is brutal. It is brutal. On the last faction, and I haven't won with this faction either, and it is the newest faction, with not counting the ones that are shipping maybe now. Because there was a Kickstarter in 2018, 2019. That's the last one that I am waiting to fill from Peterson Games. But this faction is the Ancients. So the Ancients don't have a great old one. They do have these baller cathedrals, though. These things are amazing. And you put out cathedrals around the board. It's going to give you extra ways to gain power. They've got units that are super powerful. And what they do, though, is they can get independent great old ones. So if you've got expansions, independent great old ones are amongst a bunch of those that you can get, and a lot of them are badass. So I would recommend I would like look at one of the box collections of them and go, yeah, I like this guy, and this guy. You'll be fine. Some might be a little broken. There's like a spider one that you can win if you get all those webs out. And he's just really hard to stop. And we kind of house ruled him, I think, one time, or we just stopped playing with him. I forget now because it's been a few years. But anyway, so the Ancients have this thing, though, where if great old ones battle in an area where they have a cathedral, the Ancients can detonate their cathedral and instant kill those great old ones. And it's like, oh, that's mean. Oh, and the Ancients have this amazing ability called dematerialization, where you relocate any or all of your units from one area to a single other area anywhere on the map. So they basically just phase out of one territory and pop into a new one. It is super powerful, really good. Really good. Now, I've got all the maps. I have every single thing for Cthulhu Wars. I've got my buddy Pete painted this HP Lovecraft first player marker. This came with the original Cthulhu Wars Kickstarter. Because I worked like their Gen Con booths and stuff, I've got like these different like funky clear colored critters, units, things like that. They're an off color one. Ooh, exciting. Anyways, I got a ton of this crap. But so some of the expansions that I would recommend, if you're, let's just say I'm going to buy some Cthulhu War stuff, or you have the base game and you just don't know what expansions to get, Windwalker. 100% Windwalker. Sleeper is neat and really interesting, but Windwalker is just fun, and people will hate that faction. And I always take that as a compliment, right? Like attack Bob first, that's a compliment. Go after Windwalker, that's a compliment. I think finding some of the great old one packs are great. Oh boy. Oh, I'm getting trolled by K Smith right here. Listen, dude, you know how I feel about Sniper Elite. That's terrible. Oh, I'm getting trolled. Bob, where are you? Come on, step in. Tell him how much you love Sniper Elite. You can tell him it's good. I don't like it. So, for me, Sniper Elite's like a 5. Cthulhu Wars is a 10. Yeah, so I would recommend the Windwalker faction right off the bat. That to me, that was a crowd favorite. As soon as we pulled it out of the box, everybody everybody was into it and was fighting to be in the mix for that one. So, oh, I want to be them. I want to be them. Chocho's very popular, really tough to take down. So you thought Windwalker was hated as a faction. Chocho will give them a run for their money. But as far as the maps go, I mean, there's some interesting ones that do interesting things. There's like the Primeval map, which will have these glacier markers that'll come out, and they're going to basically block off parts of the board, and the map is just going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. It makes for a fun game every once in a while. There's like, oh, excuse me. There's like the Library of Solano, which gives you a couple of different things. It's kind of funky, like how it moves around. Yeah, thank you. There's also like the Dreamlands. The Dreamlands is not bad. There's like a higher and a low level. So there's almost like two different maps. And on the lower map, the Dole keeps coming out and like attacking people and like wiping out units. So that's kind of cool. But like the must buy stuff for it, I'm just gonna say, and for your value, it's gonna be Windwalker and Chocho. Opener of the Way is really good. If you're a nerd, if you're like a real geek for like Cthulhu stuff, just find your favorite great old one, man, like from the stories or whatever, and just go for that one. You'll be fine. Again, base game is fantastic because you've got two of my favorites right off the bat. You've got the Cthulhu himself, and then the Crawling Chaos, which is the blue faction led by Nyarlathotep. Those are my favorite ones. Those are the best ones for starting players anyways, and you could just do a lot of fun, crazy stuff with them. But it's one of my favorite games, man, and yeah, there is a barrier to entry with cost, but we talk about on the show cost per place, right? So I give Bob a hard time about how much Foundations of Rome costs, but he has gotten his cost per play on that down pretty quick because he gets that game played a lot, either by him or other people. And that's great, right? That's it. Just because I don't like that game, a lot of people love that game, and good for them, man. If the value is there for you, then that's all you need, man. You don't need to justify your collection. Sniper Elite, for example, value ain't there for me, but I'm really glad Bob seems to like it. And I know Dan loves it, but I think Dan likes the video game too. There's just other hidden movement games that I like better, have more fun with. I feel like the bag building aspect of it, when you're not the sniper, it doesn't matter. It's there's nothing unique to that game unless you're the sniper. Bob is the only one he lets be the sniper. So, I'm really just seeing if Bob's listening now. But anyways, guys, that is sort of the Cthulhu Wars deep dive. If y'all ever have questions about strategy or anything like that, hit me up in the Discord. Let's see. Here's a Black Goat strategy. Only build one gate on turn one. Eliminate 2 cultists right away because that gives you a spell book, and then you take the red sign spell book and you summon a Dark Young. And yeah, so I've got old notes that I've taken. Like there he is. Oh, look, remember how I said don't build 2 gates on the first turn? If you're playing the sleeper, build 2 gates on the first turn, or build 7 like Dan. But yeah, those were some of the notes that I took early on. And yeah, I wrote down like the order in which you want to take Cthulhu spell books, because it's pretty good win ratio there. Oh, you'll let the other, yeah, now that you've got to try it out. Listen, I don't know. What you guys like snipe? You guys like hidden movement 1v many games? I love them. I actually enjoy them quite a bit, to be honest. Spectrops, I think, was the first one of those that I played like that, and I just was like, this game's amazing. I love it. And then after that, I played Letters from Whitechapel, which I like it's not as dynamic as Spectre Ops because Spectre Ops, you know, it's just different. They're different enough. But the theme of Letters from Whitechapel just comes through so strongly. It's amazing, and I love it, and it's great. And then Mind Management, I just love the intricacies of that game and all the details and the fun hidden things because I can entertain myself by checking out the board and finding Easter eggs while I'm waiting for people to take their turns. And it's very the strategy, like Letters from Whitechapel and any of these other games, the strategy is very important. I mean, it's very important where you're moving and the way that you can do the clue tokens and you write down, you get to know like on what turn was the other player in that area, and you write it down on a clue token and you put it down on the board, and so you can kind of like piece together their movement, and then you could also fill out your own clue tokens as like guesses, like okay, I think it's here, 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 and the way that the person in Mind Management can move, it's like Snake, so he can't go back over his own path, so he is also frantically trying to, while avoid you guys, trying to also hit all of his objectives, you know, before he's caught, but do it in a creative way. And I just think it's great. I just think it's great. I just find the maps on Sniper Elite to be frustrating. I don't like the bag building is not a draw, no pun intended, only because it only works for one player. It's only one thing that one player can do. And I just don't like it. There you go. See, there you go, Dan. I think the different ways of searching is interesting. But I guess I disagree with the constant communication because I feel like constant communication in any of those games to be successful, you really need to have. But that is my old man eyes after, hates the map. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Dan. I do. Well, we played that one that was like the submarine area, and it was dumb because you couldn't shoot over the water, right? Like that was stupid. And then it's hard to tell because there's spots on that board until you like sit down and like actually figure out like, oh, this is elevated and this is elevated, you know, like because there's catwalks over that board. It's just really frustrating. And then we played one that had like a mountain or a dam on one side, and it was hard to kind of tell where you could go up and down. And I don't know that I was ever clear. And it was just really frustrating. And I just didn't find it appealing. I agree. You should be able to shoot over water. Should be. But it was a whole thing, man. I mean, we had to like stop and figure it out. The game grinded. We did that wrong. The water didn't block it. We were just the worst with rule books. Yeah. Well, I don't know that rule book was amazing either, Dan, in our defense. And I wasn't even reading it. So you can't blame my old man eyes or me for teaching it wrong this time. But, I think, you know, between like struggling with that aspect of the game the first time we played it, and then when we played it later on, I was just like, there's just other games that I prefer, you know, better. Yeah, thank you. Damn your eyes this time. Yeah. It happens, guys. It happens. It's gonna happen. It's just the nature of the beast. It's what, you know. We play a lot of games and they can't all be amazing. And, you know, the guys, they did a whole episode on how they hate about how much I love games. So, you know, God forbid I don't love one as much as they love it. And now I'm the bad guy. How does that make any sense? It doesn't. It doesn't make sense. Spoiler alert. So just so y'all know, coming up this weekend, so it'll be out in a week or two, we are going to be doing our best new shut up, Bob. No, they can't all be great, just the ones I like. The best new to us in 2022, new to you in 2022. So the way that we are doing this list is that Obviously, there's going to be a lot of games that came out in 2022 that we are going to talk about and be really excited about. But there's also games that we encountered for the first time in 2022. How did I miss this? And yeah, yeah. You always say that. And so we're going to do our new to 2022, new to us. Bobby, you're just going to have to get on and comment all you got, man. Sometimes life gets in the way. You know, it's okay. We're going to miss you too. But, you know, we're going to power through. But we can't put it off too much longer either, because we wanted to do it in the new year so we could have all these new games. And see, okay, so K Smith, your list would almost be all Lacerda and Garfield games. Okay, so you got to them late. So like this year, you played a bunch of Lacerdas and Garfields. Because there's a couple games that like I can't believe that it's like, how did this stay off of my list for so long? Like, how did I not play this? So yeah, that's great. No, that dude, that's fantastic, and I'm really glad you're getting games to the table. And that's the beauty of this list, right? Is it doesn't always have to be all cold to the new. Don't get me wrong. Love my new games, love my new stuff. But sometimes it's really fun kind of either discovering a game or having somebody introduce you to a game that maybe you were just like, well, I guess I'll play this. And then you actually sit down and play it and you're like, oh my God, like, how have I put this off for so long? Everybody like Bob, so you're not going to be there as well part of your list. One of Bob's games on his list is going to be like Wonderland's War. Everybody came to me and Dan, oh God, Wonderland's War. It's the best game ever. It's, you know, put your whole collection in a bonfire and set it on fire. Wonderland's War is a game to end all games. You'll never need another game. I thought it was fine. It was like a 7.5 for me. That was pretty good, but it's not good enough to make that list for me this year. We were lucky and got to go to like Gen Con and Origins and play a bunch of new games and just in the being, you know, even in being a smaller content creator, we do get exposed to a lot of stuff early, enough stuff early, and sometimes earlier than, you know, even just, you know, regular people. And so we did get to see a lot of new games this year. So some of it I have to like also go, okay, what was this year and what's not coming out yet, right? Because I don't want to put anything that's like not out and available to the public yet. I want everything to be like, you know, above board. Everybody's got access to all the games that we're talking about and all the games that we're playing. So that'll be a caveat on my list. We'll dig in there when we get there, but for that show, I believe we'll have Mike, Spencer, Dan, and myself. So pretty good lineup. We'll miss Bob mostly. But no, it's always a good time. I've got the best guys. Oh no, Dan. Oh no. Did we do it? I don't know. Did I say regular people? Or did I just say regular people on the show? I don't remember. Fun fact, if you're a new viewer of the show, back in what was that? July, we did a top 10 overhyped, overrated list. And somebody on our show referred to people that go to like Target to buy games, for example. We called them regular people because guess what? People in the hobby, we're regular people too, but we're also like hardcore gamers. You know, a lot of us are. If you're watching a YouTube channel about games, you may not know it. You may not acknowledge it yet, but guess what? You are not a regular person anymore. You're in the hobby. You're a gamer now. But you know, a regular person just walking down the aisle shopping at a big box store. Oh, look, exploding kittens. That's cute. Sure, pick it up. You know, play it. See if you like it. Play other games that are like it. You know, like dig in, right? Anyways, people went wild with that comment on that list. And that was the least offensive thing we said on that whole show because we were banging on a bunch of very popular games. And we weren't even saying that the games were bad. I just said it was overrated or overhyped. I mean, Andrew said a lot of games were bad, and Andrew was wrong about a lot of things. He's a great guy, but he's wrong about a lot of things. But yeah, if you go back, that's one of our, I believe that is our most viewed video, and we got just rung up on that on different social media networks, and that's fine, whatever. But oh, look at this, K Smith hooking it up. But you know what, man? Like, it's an opinion show. We're just giving all of our opinions. You know, we're just talking about games and having a good time. And look, there's going to be people out there that love games that I don't like, or vice versa, right? I'm going to love a game and you're gonna be like, that game's terrible. I can't believe Tim loves that game. I mean, the guys do it to me all the time when I talk about DC Duck Builder or Cthulhu Wars, whatever. It's fine. Bob, I know Bob likes Cthulhu Wars. He doesn't love it like I do, but he likes it. He'll play it. You know, Dan would play it again, even though Dan doesn't love those kind of games, but Dan is a good sport and will sit down and play games, even if he knows he's going to hate it right off the bat, like any trick taking game. But I mean, that's the thing is like, so yeah, people were getting mad, you know, oh, you guys are being gatekeepers, you edge lords, you know, and it's like, come on, man, we're just talking about games. That's it. I think Wingspan is a fantastic game. Did it like send me over the moon? Did it warrant like all of these people getting really pissed off at Stonemaier Games because of the way that they released it? They didn't have enough copies. No, it is not that great of a game. No game is that great. But for everybody to flip the F out over it was ridiculous. And it's just too bad that there's people in our hobby like that, right? And then they've got to go on and virtue signal and talk about like, and then a lot of people that were commenting on the Facebook post hadn't even watched the video, but you know, whatever. They did accidentally drive a lot of people to our show though too, and so it was really funny. Uh-oh, is Mike trying to get in? Hold on, let me see. I'm gonna do something real quick, maybe. Let me see if I can do something real fast. Don't go anywhere, folks. There it is. Now my mic is back. Yeah, dude, it happened. It happens. Oh, Mikey, let me get my headphones on, buddy. All right, Mike, talk to me, man.
What's that?
Yeah. I figured it out. VZ, GRZ. It muted my thing when I bopped out to make sure Mike had a good link. So Mike went through all this trouble of setting up a really good thumbnail and everything for me to use. And then what happened is, Mike, it was under a different email. So that when I went to log into StreamYard, it wasn't available to me. And the link that you made the thing under, it would only let me come in as a guest, and I couldn't allow myself in as a host because I wasn't hosting. It was very confusing.
Yeah. I don't know. Sorry, I got to do this. This is better. Yeah, I don't know exactly. That's a thing we definitely gotta work on. I don't know how to get multiples of us in on that admin account so we can mess with stuff.
And the thing is here you guys get a little shop talk real quick. Is the thing is that that admin account is under our editor's email and not the rundown email.
I know.
And so I didn't have his email to log in with. You know what I'm saying? So like, couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's all good. And then I was trying to join the link, and then one time the camera didn't work, and then the other time it took me to a link and there was no video going. And honestly, I debated even jumping on with you because I've never played Cthulhu War, so I know nothing about it. I don't even really know anything about the lore. Sorry, I know nothing about that world.
I moved past it. I kind of went through every faction, talked some pros and cons and a little bit of strategy, showed off some of the minis for it, and then just started getting into other stuff and talking because I just didn't want to. I wanted to engage everybody, like just because not everybody is like, oh yeah, Cthulhu Wars is my favorite thing ever. Oh, is Matt trying to jump in on this?
I don't know. He has no camera.
Yeah,
and maybe he's doing something behind the ssnes to figure out
maybe he is.
What
maybe
the hell
he is.
we're doing. What the hell you're doing. And I came on to rescue you. No, I'm kidding. No, I knew you were kind of getting towards the end of your topic. And I was like, all right, well, if he's onto something different by the time I get in, then my presence will be worthwhile. I didn't want to just add nothing to the topic that you are clearly an expert on. I would love to play Cthulhu Wars though.
We'll play it sometime, dude. And because trust me, like it's one of those games. It's like Wonderland's War for you. If somebody was like, "Oh, hey, I want to play this," you've already got it halfway set up. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's where I'm at. Like that's where I'm at with this game. It's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I get it, dude. Oh boy, here he goes.
Yeah, I know, right? I actually kind of want to talk about a whiskey that I bought. That I left the bottle upstairs though, because I'm an idiot. But again, I'm not trying to jump on and derail your topic that again I know nothing about. Even like hidden movement games. I've played my Mind Management, Sniper Elite, and Spectre Ops. Mind Management was a while ago though. Like we played it that one time. You did let me be the one versus the many. And we played it, I want to say in January or February. It's been a hot minute. And so
I think it was like the second game we played together. Because I think we played
close. Yeah.
We played Lords of Hellas when we first met, like actually met and like played a game, sat down and played a game together. And then I think we played Mind Management maybe at Caleb's house.
We did. It was Caleb's house, his old house.
Yeah.
So I did play Letters from Whitechapel this year as well. Letters from Whitechapel to me didn't age very gracefully. And I think it's tough because coming in and like, okay, played Mind Management this year, played Sniper Elite this year, played Letters from Whitechapel this year, all for the first time.
Right.
Spectre Ops prior to that was the only hidden movement game that I had played. And I think it's still borderline my favorite. I would say it's between Mind Management and Spectre Ops. I would have to play them both again.
Oh, you're gonna
like
hurt
Sniper Elite was okay. I think what almost annoyed me about that game is like we had Bob cornered. Like there should have been no possible way that he could escape. We had him absolutely cornered. And then he pulls this magic trick out of a hat, and next thing you know is on the other side of the map. So we go from, and then he's like, and then like 2 turns later, game's over, guys. I got the last thing I needed. Like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah.
How can things swing so much from like, you are dead to rights. I got this one ability card, and you lose 2 turns later. Like that swing was actually frustrating. I'm like, we should have won this game. What the hell happened? I still don't know. It was a magic trick.
And I think for me, right, like because everybody, when I heard about Sniper Elite for the first time, the big draw was the bag building. The bag building's amazing. Like, it's a hidden movement game with bag building. Only one player gets to do the bag building. So, okay. Like I guess, but when only one player is getting to do that, and then the other players, you get unique abilities to your character, sure, but Mind Management does it, Spectre Ops does it. You know what I mean? Like all of these other hidden movement games also do that. So, like I just don't find it that interesting. And here we go. Look at this, Bob with his ninja. Yeah, but I think Jack, it feels a little more.
I don't
A little
remember
more.
there being like this gigantic swing in a matter of 2 turns.
No, Jack can
Like
like bust through
dead to
the
rights
alley.
to like, wait, why did I just lose?
Right. No, Jack can just like zip through an alley every once in a while. Oh, I need to answer this. Hardwood Bear. Hey, haven't seen you before in the comments. So welcome and thank you
Mm-mm.
for watching. No, I wish I owned a board game store in South Bend. I don't know which one you're referring to. I don't own either of them. There's the Griffin and there's Fantasy. We do film at Fantasy games up in Roseland. And no, I'm like thankfully very cool with the owner of that game store. And I know Ken a little bit from the Griffin, but I haven't been going in there near as much because I just don't I just don't I don't love their game room up there. That's a me problem, not a them or whatever. It's a little more cliquish, and I had a lot more success finding open games at Fantasy, so it appealed to me more. But anyways, there's all that. See, the games are quick, so we get everyone to play a sniper. Oh man, so do you guys, K Smith, do you guys like just find the sniper really fast? You need to play with Bob. The game will take an hour. Man, if I'm there, I don't understand how the terrain works on the map, so that I'm arguing about that. That's another 15 minutes of the game. That's terrible.
I mean, that sounds cool. I just, it did go fast though. I want to say our game only took maybe 45 minutes. It was over before I really felt like it should be.
Yeah,
It was like, oh, that's it, kind of thing. So we probably could have played it multiple times in a row.
we probably could have. We probably could have. Hey, Hardwood. Well, welcome, man, and
That's
hopefully you
cool.
enjoy the show. Don't let Andrew like turn you off from us because we're all pretty cool even without him or despite him.
No
So
such thing as off topic. That's our specialty.
yeah, dude.
If you're
Especially
willing to
tonight.
interact with us, hey, we're gonna give you the time of day. So we
Yeah.
definitely appreciate it.
No, that's the whole thing about this.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh, look at this. If people find the terrain hard, then just don't play that map. The first map is really clean. Which is the first map there, K Smith? Because we struggled with that submarine map. I'm gonna tell you, we struggle with that submarine map. And we struggle with that dam map. And not dam, like damn it, but like the map with the dam on it. Remember? That's the one you played on, Mike.
Okay. It's again, it was
It
probably
was Gen
8,
Con.
9 months ago.
It was
quick 45-minute game.
It was Gen Con, I believe. Or maybe you didn't even play it with us at Gen Con.
No, I played it at Bob's house.
Oh, well then hell,
with
I don't even
Ben
know.
one time, I want to say. Yeah. And as you know, I've got Fury of Dracula in Shrink sitting over there. And that's just that theme is far more interesting to me than really any of those other hidden movement games, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
so I really want to try that one.
Fear of Dracula is awesome. It's awesome. We'll have to play that sometime too. And okay, so K Smith says there's a map with a boat outdoors, dark setting, no submarine on the map, 0 elevation rules. So I guess here's the thing: is I get what you're saying, and yeah, that map. But if I am limited now to only playing the one map, I also feel like that handicaps the game a little bit. Now, maybe it'll be like, yeah, I only like the game if I play it on that map, but I don't think that would change my score either. But I mean, it took a little bit. I feel like going up that hill took more than 2 minutes, and then shoot the submarine also took more than 2 minutes. But yeah, Nix, you're right. The Fury of Dracula. I had Fury of Dracula 2nd edition, and then I ended up getting rid of it because I got a 3rd edition copy. And because they streamlined the rules and somebody really wanted a 2nd edition and I could trade it for a bunch of stuff I wanted, I let it go. So yeah, 2nd edition is basically the same game. They just streamlined the combat in 3rd edition, which made it a little bit better. But yeah, you didn't miss much, Mike. Dan was saying that it only took us 2 minutes. I feel like it took a lot longer. Maybe it only took 2 minutes, but it felt like forever while we argued over, and then we ended up killing Bob anyways. So that part was good. But what are you gonna do? I feel like I should also point out, Mike, you know how many times I've buffered tonight?
None?
None.
Nice.
I know, it's weird.
Maybe you have to be the host from now on. Wow.
Boy, it's just my ego getting in the way of my Wi-Fi, making me, well, it's only good if I host. Which we all know is bull, because if you watch Mike do anything, even if we're not on, it's really good. So don't believe me when I say that for a minute. Mike, you do a good job, especially when I'm not here to pull you down a little bit.
Well, I debated even hopping on. You're on to topics that are not my forte, but I also know it's always more fun when there's more than one of us. So I just said, all right,
sure.
Let's just do it. I'll get a little off topic.
Sure.
This is what I ran upstairs for. So last time I was at the store, I was like, okay, I need something different for Whiskey Wednesday. And I've got a very special bottle back here that I'll break open at some point, but not yet. Not yet. That is all right. So I'm at the store. I'm like, I need a different whiskey. Yeah, right. There you go. I'm the hot take guy. I've been doing that all day. Tim's like, Mike's been on one today. Trolling people about the Barnes and Noble stuff. Did you get into that?
Let's see. That one?
I don't think I got to jump in until probably 8:30. So if you touched that first, I'm just going to have to go back and watch it. Oh my gosh, that's the part I wish I was on for. Oh, the reactions to the Barnes and Noble sales. Like, everybody's a market expert now.
Oh my God. We're getting
Tim,
retail
who
for
currently works retail, and me, who worked in retail for 7 years. So yeah.
Well, and it's funny because I work in like a specialized retail. Like, I work for air gas. I sell welding supplies, you know, like, so it's, you know, I mean, not like that makes me better than somebody that works at like Target or whatever, but I mean, it's like,
way better.
We deal with things that, like, inventory. You have to clear out inventory. It makes sense. You know, you pay either restocking fees or taxes, and then stock, when it sits for a long time, becomes dead stock. And then it's a negative draw, you know, on your store's budget, you know what I mean? And it's like, ugh.
No, we're dogging on the people that were dogging on the sale.
Yes.
In a lot of the big Facebook groups, everybody's posting, oh, here's my Barnes and Noble haul. Here's all these games I got at 50% off MSRP. Awesome. Love a great sale. And obviously, a big box store like Barnes and Noble is not going to mark product down to take a loss. That's not happening. That is not that is not what happened. So out of the woodworks come all these people that, oh, their stock price has been tanking. Yeah, so is everybody else's in 2022. Have you looked at your 401k? Oh, they're Capstone Games is going to go out of business. I'm sorry if I'm rehashing what you talked about.
No,
but,
go for it.
With Hardwood Bear, you know, mentioning it, we were making fun of these people. They're suddenly these retail experts and think that, you know, CMON is going out of business because they marked down Marvel Zombies by $17 a copy. Come on. Come on.
Those games are already bought and paid for. Every game you see on the shelf has already been bought and paid for, and then they charge what they want to charge so that they can make money off of it.
Those are games that are hogging up shelf space, that obviously they've got something in line that needs that shelf space. So yeah, they're not doing this stuff at a loss.
No.
CMON already made their money.
Those kind of sales are great opportunities for people that don't have a ton of money to go and get a bunch of games that they love and have been dying to get. So go get it. If you can buy from your game store, please do. But if you can't, hey man, find it on sale, scoop it up. Get it off of, you know, Facebook Marketplace, scoop it up. Geek Market, whatever. Get your games, man. You know, like,
guilty.
Who cares?
But hey, lately here, our editor has been adding affiliate links in a lot of our videos. So if you're one of those people, K. Smith, you know, feel free to use the channel's links. Yeah, I've just become a person that buys most everything online. Uh, you know, I'm not to the point of where like I'm grocery shopping online and then I show up and there's my stuff. I don't want somebody picking out my bread and eggs and fruit, you know,
Right. Yeah.
but everything else I'm buying online. So, you know,
So,
me.
so this is interesting because I didn't talk about that because I didn't know that that was a thing. I guess at my local Target, I have not seen that happen.
Me either.
Target has a deal, and unless this deal has ended, last I knew, Target has a deal with like Prospero Hall, which is like the Funko Pop,
Right.
horrified people. And they've got a deal, so they get all of those games. They get Jaws and Top Gun and The Shining and all those movie IP games that Prospero Hall like cranks out. So I still like, even just as of last week, see a ton of those games all still there.
Yeah.
So I don't know that, I have not seen that in my area. So
Yeah, I haven't seen that either. And in fact, a little bit of evidence, in my opinion, that would lean towards that not happening is a game that I've been making fun of for the art, which is a Target exclusive. So
Spirit Island. Yeah.
It's the new Spirit Island. What's it called? Horizons of Spirit Island?
I don't know.
It's the Target exclusive Spirit Island version. That's a Target exclusive game. Target executives picked the art. They picked the name. They picked aspects of the game. Now, the art is terrible, especially the stupid dragon. And if you're in our Discord, you've seen me tag that dragon plenty of times, and I'll do it again because it's awful. But to me, why would Target put so many resources into specifying how they wanted this Target exclusive Spirit Island to look if they were then going to discount these type of games? That's not jiving with me at all. So I don't see that happen.
I don't know. I hope that's not true because I like that. I know that some people will be like, oh, big box stores shouldn't carry board games because it takes away money from the local game stores. And yes, in a way that it does, but also a lot of people, again, here we go, Dan, regular people walking down the aisles at Target, like through the toy aisle, and they stumble across the board games and go, oh, Jaws, that looks interesting. I like that movie. There's a board game based on that. That person is not going to seek out Jaws at a local game store. They're not going to go into fantasy games unless they already play Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh or something like that. You know what I mean? They're not. So I see those stores as gateways because the games that they sell, I mean, they're not selling your Vital Lacerdas, right? They're not selling your Fisters. They're not selling your Splatter games. So, and yeah, Jeff, you're right. Jaws is actually surprisingly good.
Man. Hey, I'm curious. Sorry not to interrupt him. I'm curious of where you're located because in northern Indiana, Target's board game inventory has not changed at all. I mean, there's still a whole section of the 2 Targets I've been to within the last month. That the selection is still the same. The quantity is still exactly the same.
Yeah, agreed. So basically what I'm saying though is that somebody buys Villainous or something at Target and then they want more board games and then they Google where do I buy board games? Well, it's going to not bring up Target. It's going to bring up Fantasy Games or the Griffin or whatever your local game store is called. Maybe it's Secret Door Games, So yeah, man, I mean, it is what it is. There's room for everybody and you're going to get more people into the hobby. And so stores like that carrying games, even like, games that may not appeal to like hardcore gamers, look, you got to start somewhere. Nobody's jumping in both feet, into the gallerist, like I've never played a board game before. Let's just start with, a heavy Vital Lacerda game. Like it's not happening.
This is another great point on why those stores, should carry those games. And I'll also say, like, if you're a newer gamer, going into a local game store can be a little intimidating.
Yeah.
You kind of feel like, okay, I'm clueless and I'm surrounded by experts that probably know I'm clueless. I have felt that way before at a game store.
And depending on the game store, right? I mean, sometimes the staff at some
Big
game
difference.
stores can
Yeah.
be like the comic book guy from The Simpsons, where it's like, get out of here. You know what I mean? Like, I've got my Mary Worth issue number 2, you know, like, and you're an idiot if you like anything popular, you know. So if a game store doesn't have a friendly staff, you know, or maybe they don't have to know everything about games, they just have to be interested in helping you, you know, like that's it. I don't know everything about welding, but guess what? Somebody comes in, I'm going to help them find what they need. You know, whether we talk through the problem or we're both on Google on our phones, you know, we'll figure it out. Right. So same thing with like a board game store. But the problem is you don't always get that, you know, with retail employees anywhere at all. Now a game store, and again, is intimidating because it's a specialized store. You know, you walk into a game store, and if you don't already know board games or familiar with board games or card games, you know, if you're not familiar with like Magic or Pokemon or something, it can seem a little weird and off-putting in there. But I'll tell you what, man, in my experience, at least for us locally, I go to our game store. I've been going to this game store for years, right? But for different things at different times. In the 90s, I went for either Warhammer or Magic, depending 2 different phases, never both at the same time, right? So mid 90s Warhammer, late 90s, or actually mid 90s Magic, late 90s Warhammer, 2000s Magic again. And then I got into board games, but I could walk in there. And the thing is I could go, especially when I was new at board games, and go, hey, what's up with these like kind of board games? And, you know, like, are these any good? Or role-playing games, for example. I'd go to the Griffin and buy role-playing game books there. And sometimes the staff didn't know something, but there's somebody standing at the counter that's like, oh, you like this. Let me.
Oh, I jinxed him. Tim's first buffer to
I
my knowledge.
buffered.
There it is. Go on, Tim.
I got one, but no, I don't remember where. I don't know where it cut me off. But anyways, I'm just gonna say that while I was there asking about games, there were other people in that store that were just patrons that are excited about their hobbies and they wanted to talk about it. So like if I've been standing in line and somebody will go, "Oh, is this game any good?" And I'll be like, "Oh yeah, you like that game? That's pretty good." But like this is also good. You can check this out, you know, or you like these, or this is, you know, or you looking for like family weight games. Like don't get me started on a game tangent, because I'll walk them through the whole damn store and tell them what every game is and you know who it's good for and everything.
Yeah, hardwood. Sorry, I live in Elkhart, and I don't ever go to that store.
I've never been in there either.
Yeah, I thought they do have a lot of stuff you can demo and play. Overall, the last time I was there, I didn't think the selection was that great. And yeah, so that was one of the main reasons I really haven't gone back, and it's been several years.
And you know, again, right, like there was a game store that was around for 5 minutes that was my favorite game store in the whole world, and that was the Village Well.
It was a fun and welcoming store.
It was all just board games, and that's why I loved it, because it was only board games. And Dave, the owner, was just this nice dude who just wanted to have this very cool, chill place for everybody to hang out, play board games, and it was amazing. Oh, so he's in Wakarusa now. Are you got any game stores down there in Wakarusa, in that area, or Warsaw? Do you drive down to Warsaw to play games?
There's so I lived in Napanee for 5 years, and I worked in Warsaw. Chimps Comics in Warsaw, while mostly comics and mostly collectible card games, has some Euros. Now that's another store I haven't been to in years, so his board game inventory may have improved. I will say, if you're willing to drive a little, now there's a collectible store in Napanee that has a lot of cool stuff, and I've seen like some like rare action figures and Funkos that I've never seen before, but I didn't notice that they carried board games. Let me just quickly get to the point, though. If you're willing to make the drive to Fort Wayne, Summit Comics and Games is one of the best hobby stores I have been to. Hobby, like sports paraphernalia, Magic, Pokemon, and board games. They have a great selection of all of those things. That's Summit in Fort Wayne. The other one I know of in Elkhart is Rupel's Trains. And
Right.
that guy is very approachable, very friendly. He'll talk to you about any game you pull off of the shelf. He's got pretty good inventory. And really, he's got some collectible card games, but not that many. Most of the store kind of caters towards board games and trains. So that's a cool one in Elkhart if you're in the area.
And then now there's Fun Time Games up on the north side of Elkhart. I haven't been in there yet.
Me
but Fun
either.
Time, that's got a lot of D&D stuff as well. Like, so a lot of role-playing stuff, but they do have board games. And I think he's got like a lot of consignment stuff too in there. So you might be able to find some deals if you're a bargain hunter. Because I'll tell you, if you're looking for deals, Fantasy Games up in Roseland has a pretty good, well, they had a really awesome clearance sale going for a little while. And they've got like a little shelf normally that is sort of dedicated to some used stuff. I found some good things there. The Griffin has a great used section that is pretty, it changes like relatively often. So it's worth like checking out, like every once in a while, because it does seem to refresh. It's not always like the same things over there. And yeah, I haven't been into Rupel. I used to drive by it all the time and I was like,
I like that owner. He's a good guy.
Nope, not Family Time Games. Family Time Games down in it's Fun with two N's. K Smith.
Yes, it is 2 N's. It's
And
very new, few months open.
Yeah. Now, Family Time Games. You want to talk about Family Time Games? I love Shane and Sandra, the owners of Family Time Games in Indy.
Yeah. Looks like Tim's buffering. I actually finally got a chance to go in that store. I was visiting family in Kentucky during Thanksgiving. Had to miss these guys for a weekend, couldn't film, and I had to go. I went through Indy, made a pit stop for food. While I was at my pit stop, I Googled gaming stores, and it just so happened I was like a half a mile from Family Time. So I went in there. I really only looked around. I still had a long drive ahead of me. But yeah, great selection, lots of tables. Hardwood. So Griffin is basically downtown South Bend. It's been a while. I couldn't tell you exactly which block or road, but literally downtown South Bend is where you'll see the Griffin at. And I totally forgot about their consignment. Yeah, Tim is going to shadow box himself, which you can see he is doing now. He's shadow boxing. That's what's going on over there. So I don't know what happened here. Tim said he didn't buffer all night long. I jump on and Tim has buffered like 3 times, and now I haven't even seen him in 30 seconds. Thank you, Bob. Yes, I knew it was down there somewhere. It's not hard to find. And it's been a while since I've been in there. It's been a long time, actually. It was one of the first game stores I went to in the area. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Holy crap. I'm not even on Wi-Fi. That's crazy. I better fix that. Watch, it'll suddenly pop right. Now it's me. Okay. That must have been my phone switching to Wi-Fi. I'm actually surprised I didn't buffer on my 4G connection. I'll get YouTube videos to buffer on my 4G connection because I'm in a basement. I'm trying to think of other stores that aren't far from here. I honestly think we've really kind of covered them. But hardware, again, if you're in Wakarusa, go down to that. There's this new hobby store in Napanee, and he doesn't have games. He's just got a lot of cool collectibles and toys and Funkos and action figures. And I was just looking at pictures of his store. I'm like, that is a cool looking store for people like us. You're close enough to Napanee. Go check out that hobby store. Welcome back, Timba.
I don't know why
apparently
it kicked me off of like the router or the Wi-Fi extender and switched me over to the house Wi-Fi for some reason, and then I don't know what the hell. So I had to go all the way out, switch Wi-Fis. So
that's probably the one I was forgetting. But yeah, they do not sell any games.
Right.
But yeah, Hardwood, also keep an eye out. Maybe Andrew already mentioned it.
So while the dude at Rivals is,
dang it, there he goes again. Sorry, Tim, we lost you. Rivals, is one of the places that we have our Meeple meetups. Bob organizes those. We try to alternate. It's once a month. We try to alternate Saturdays or Sundays every other month. We alternate between Rivals and Fantasy. Rivals has a huge open space, which is great, but they do not sell board games.
Yeah, the dude there is super cool. I appreciate that he lets us host our game meetups there, but they don't sell the games, so I don't really count it as a game store proper for what we do, right? Or what we talk about. But that's not a dig on them.
No, I mean, I totally get it. It's harder to survive only selling board games.
It's impossible. It is flat out impossible. The model as a game store is to sell cards first.
Yeah.
You make all your money in the collectible card games. I mean, that is just what it is. Yeah, Hardwood, that's there's still a Kroger over there in Town and Country, right? Yeah.
By Mishawaka Furniture. And
Yep,
Popeyes, a great place if you need a break and you want insulted while you're eating lunch.
The trick is to go through the drive-through, Mike, or just not like pretend like it's a buffet when you go in there, because then they will insult you. You have to just go through drive-through, order your meal, only eat that.
I feel like that's a dig
GTFO.
at my stature that I need a buffet when I walk into Popeyes. And
like,
I'm just going to, that son of a bitch is going to eat up all the chicken we fried 3 hours ago.
Little they know it would be me, because I could put some food down.
So I'll take this last sip of my Jack Daniel's rye that I've had for a while, and I want to talk about. I want to save everybody some money. I feel like, it was nice that I was able to help out with the game store talk. Again, not an expert on Cthulhu or even Hidden Movement. A little bit of an expert on whiskey. Don't get this. This is called Bad Sweater. I've been seeing this at a lot of liquor stores lately. Bad Sweater, brown sugar, and holiday spice flavored whiskey. That all sounds awesome.
No.
And it has a sweater on it, and it's called Bad Sweater. It's awful. Awful.
Where's Bob Silver when you need him to tell you, like, don't buy that?
Like, you idiot. He can tell me this weekend. I'll try to pawn this bottle off on him, or like, oh, Rob, here, try this whiskey. It's great. And then he spits it out on my shirt.
Right. Okay, Hardwood. So here you go. I'll give you a little inside information, because I've talked to game store owners, not just in South Bend, but also down in Indy and stuff like this. So it's not a matter of just enough people, or I think the problem is for game stores in general, because what's going to happen is for a game store to really succeed, it needs a community. Because like Bob is getting ready to say right here, the markups on board games, the profit margin on board games is razor thin. So it's really hard to sell board games at a cheap price unless you are a wholesaler like a Miniature Market or even a Barnes and Noble, right? And they even, well, their games tend to be $5 to $10 more than what you would find at just an MSRP, because then eventually they're going to sell them at half off, and then you're good. So the problem is that a game store needs to have a good community feeding it constantly, and the profit margin on cards is different because they can buy and sell those collectible cards and make a lot more money. Because when you buy a pack of Magic cards, you spend $5 on that pack of cards. That pack might have $100 card in it, right? And you have access to boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of cards, which you can open up, you can write off on your taxes. And then now you add those cards to your binders, which will not, give you trade and selling fodder for, and so the collectible card market is almost like a pawn shop. Like, you almost got to think of it like a pawn shop. They're going to give you, as little as they can to get that card, and then they're going to sell it for as much as they can. And you can't be offended by that, because that's just the nature of the beast, because that's what you're going to do when you're trying to buy a card, right? You're trying to get that card for as cheap as you can. And if you decide to turn it, you're going to try to get maximum value. I mean, it is just nature of the beast. So with board games, if a board game is, let's just say a board game retails for $50, that board game probably costs them $35 to purchase minimum. Then when you factor in shipping and all that stuff, getting that board game into your store, you're not really making $15 off of every board game you sell. You may be making $10 off of every $50 board game you sell. But also, you might have to buy 10 copies of that board game. And so then getting that board game, selling 2 or 3 copies of that board game may not be too bad. Selling 10 copies of that board game, that could be tough, especially if it's not a Frosthaven, right? Or, and it's flying off the shelves, or a Wingspan, and you can't keep them on the shelves. So, I mean, sometimes you can get away with just buying 5 copies, of a game, things like that. But so the profit margins are really tight on board games. It's really hard to mark board games down for a local game store to make money off of them. And so it's just not a business that you're into to make money, because it is also a niche market, right? It is a hobby. It's a hobby market. So nobody, I mean, I would beg to differ, but really nobody needs board games, right? So people want board games. That's great. I want board games. I like buying board games. It makes me feel good to buy board games, because I like having a nice board game collection. Now granted, I want to be able to play all my games, and that's not always the case. And when I first got into the hobby, I was just trying to have a lot of games, so I had a lot of options. Now I'm a lot more selective, now that I've got a lot of games. So if I'm going to spend money on a game, especially if I'm going to pay full MSRP, it's got to be a game I really want. Like, there's very few blind buys for me anymore, especially at full price. And it's tough. It's tough, right? And Kickstarters, I cooled down on the Kickstarters for that reason, because it's really tough, because sometimes you get a dud, and it's hard to flip that dud. So anyways, the market's
and the prices are going up.
Yeah, well, because shipping has gotten just ridiculous. They used to be able to get a container for like $2,500 to $10,000, right? To get a container full of games shipped over the US. At the height of the shipping crisis, I mean, it was $20,000 to $30,000 for that same container, and that was, even then, you might still get bumped for somebody that pays a premium to have that was a good one, premium to make sure that their games get shipped over. So, I mean, it got to be real dog eat dog, and so anyways, it is a hobby and an industry that I love, and it will do well, right? The hobby is doing well. The hobby is very healthy. There is the more and more people get into the hobby every day. But still, it is not a hobby you get into to make money. Even board game designers don't make a ton of money You know, you have to be Eric Lang and sign a big contract with Simon, you know, and then now you're making the games that they want you to make. Uh, you know, you might have a little bit of wiggle room, right? As far as, but maybe you don't have a say in the theme, you know, or maybe you don't have a say in this or that.
I'm sure
And so
he loses some creative control.
right.
For
And
sure.
even before then, he toiled away making a bunch of small games and stuff. Now, granted, I mean, he did fine, right? I mean, like Dice Masters and things like that. You know, he was doing fine. He was, you know, clearly a talented designer and was going places, but you got to start somewhere. You got to grind out, and you know, hopefully somebody picks you up. You know, because publishing as an independent label is not a, unless you're Isaac Childress and you just come up with Gloomhaven. You know, that's the exception, not the rule. So yeah,
You know,
man. Oh, go on.
No, I was just along those lines. I find myself curious how Joey Vigor's doing. His game Growl got the Stranger Things IP tossed on it, and I'd be curious how that has helped him financially. You know, I'm not going to say it has made him rich, but I'm curious. I'm sure it's helped.
Yeah, so Joey's got like a ton of games. We talked to him for quite a bit at Gen Con, and it was a delight because I love that dude. He is so nice to us and just seems like a really cool and fun person. But Joey, he's got a ton of games. He's got a ton of irons in the fire. And then, yeah, he got lucky and signed a big deal, you know, basically with Netflix or who was the company that, well, I guess Asmodee, right? Who put out the,
Yeah, it is.
And that's sort of lightning striking, you know, and what you hope is that everybody sees that and goes, holy crap, that game's amazing. Who made that game? Like, let's get more games made by that guy. You know, it's kind of like being like an independent movie director, you know, or something where you just got to hope somebody sees you. And yeah, Hardwood, I'm pretty sure he did work on Gloomhaven for ages, you know, before it came out, you know, but like Leader Games, right? Leader Games is also one of those things where you, and Red Raven Games, same thing there with Ryan Lockett. I mean, Ryan Lockett saves a lot of money by doing his own art, you know. Now, granted, it's fantastic artwork. It's beautiful. You don't have to love every one of his games, but they all look great. But like Leader Games, right? I mean, they had Vast, you know, and then they struck gold with Root. Vast was like, okay, popular, heard of it, you know, it had its following, but then Root came out and holy crap, they blew up. But I mean, not everybody's going to get a Root, you know. I mean, it's the exception, not the rule, you know. I mean, there's designers like Melissa Hargrave who blew up for Wingspan. She hasn't put out a good game since, you know. Wingspan's a really good game. Mariposas is fine, you know, it's not great. You know, she, you know, I mean, maybe she's got a good one coming down the pipe, but until then, you know, I mean, you just don't know, man. You just don't know, you know. And there are some places like Prospero Hall, you could get lucky, sign on with Prospero Hall. They have a stable of designers. And then what you do is they go, okay, we've got this IP, pitch me your Gremlins game. You know, Dan, pitch me your Gremlins game. Okay, Mike, we like yours. We're going to do that. But Dan, we think yours would work good for Ghostbusters. I mean, that's how Prospero Hall works, right? And then they slap that IP onto your game. So, you know, you can get into like a place that has like a stable of designers, but that's not always the case either. And you still have to be kind of a good designer. You can't just be a bum, you know, like just churning out crap. So sorry, Mike. Yeah. You look like you were going to say something, Mike, and I walked right over you. So I apologize.
Are you trying to say that it's very difficult or almost impossible to get rich as a board game YouTuber?
Oh yeah, that's 100%.
Well, all right. I guess I'm wasting my time.
Oh, I know you just do it because you like our company. And yeah, Hardwood, I agree, man. I think the artwork does a lot for me. It doesn't always have to, but Dan, look, you had a great pitch for Gremlins, but we just feel like it would work for Ghostbusters better. and Mike was also going to do all the voices, and he has like this whole audio aspect to his game, which hasn't been done in anything. So that's what really kind of put his over the edge.
I also added a very novel mechanic where you have to hold every time you have possession of the Mogwai. You have to hold it above your head because you're in a room filled with water, and so you don't want it to get wet. So every time it's your turn, you have to hold the Mogwai above your head for the entirety of your turn. So they liked that novel mechanic.
Hold on, Mike. I just got a call. Hey, Dan, we're gonna go with your Gremlins idea. Mike, it looks like you get the Garbage Pail Kids the movie board game. We're gonna give you that one now.
Oh, great theme shout out. Oh my gosh. Oh man. That's right. I'll throw some more of my voices in there, and Dan's got a point here. That's all we're missing, guys. We just got to run a Kickstarter. For the board game rundown, we're gonna film live plays of Mike's Gremlins game.
Yeah. You can play Mike's prototype.
My way.
Oh, that's interesting.
Man, so I love those guys, and they have sold me on so many games over the years. I don't think I've watched that review. I will say my first play of Root years ago, like it had just fulfilled the backers, and I didn't like it that much. Now, earlier this year, I played it again. I only got to play like 3/4 of the game, and I found myself kind of wanting to fall in love with this game. And it might just be because I found like the faction. I found, yes. Oh, that is amazing. That is amazing. Why is there no Gremlins game? There isn't, is there? Wow. Man, I found myself, there is no Gremlins game, but going back to Root real quick to summarize that point because of Hardwood's comment, I played it last time with the expansion that allows you to use the River Otters, and they sell like special action cards to the other factions, and you can set the price each round. So you find yourself watching what other players are doing, determining which cards you think they're going to use that round, and either raising the price so you can get more money or currency, or you find yourself just simply asking the players, how bad do you need this action card? What's the most you're willing to pay for it? And as a salesman of 20 years, I just found myself falling in love with that Otter faction. And I just absolutely had a blast playing that faction. There is a Gremlins game. I figured there was.
Yeah, Dan designed it already. Dan designed it already. While you were doing your voices.
Oh, Dan. He used to be Dan Parker. He changed his name to Dan Stafford. I didn't know that. That's crazy.
And, I'll give you one guess on who made this game. Come on.
Like publisher or designer?
Yeah, publisher.
Publisher?
Because they don't have a designer. They don't have a designer listed because they have a house of designers. Come on. Who were we just talking about?
Prospero Hall?
Yeah.
I didn't even know they made a Gremlins game.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, my kids got it for me for Christmas last year.
How did I not hear about that? Wow.
Funko.
I really like Horrified, and I'm looking forward to playing Pan Am. I've played some Prospero Hall games I really liked.
No, Prospero Hall, I bang on them a little bit every once in a while, but they do fine. They put out some interesting stuff. The Jaws game, like Jeff said earlier, is surprisingly good. I have their copy of their version of The Shining. I haven't played it yet. But that's just an IP that Dan and I both are obsessed with. Like Dan and I, we met and became good friends because of like Lords of Hellas and board games. but Dan and I like bonded over our love of some really great IPs, you know, between Aliens and The Shining and things like that. And so yeah. I got their Shining game.
And of course,
well.
Speaking of these 80s IPs, I still think it's cool that Renegade did a Transformers and G.I. Joe deck building game.
I know.
I still have not played either one.
We have access to those at the store, but I haven't played either one either. And I should play them because I like deck builders. But
and I mean, didn't you grow up liking at least one of those?
Well, so I like G.I. Joe more, and it was only because I was too poor to afford Transformers. So
I definitely like the Transformers more. I no particular reason. Yeah, just I don't know. Thought they were cool, and they had cool toys. That helps.
No, fantastic toys. But yeah, I couldn't afford it. Did you just transform?
Yes, I did. Actually, okay. I transformed into
It was either that or I thought you were allergic to pineapple or something and started choking. Wasn't sure what happened there.
I'm allergic to these bad jokes you're throwing at me. Is what's happening.
Oh boy. All
right. Okay. So if you've watched enough Whiskey, let's just do this. This will be funny. If you've watched enough Whiskey Wednesday streams, you've seen that I will, I can take a big old swig of Jack Daniel's rye with no reaction. No bitter face, nothing. You could give me a $10 bottle of Mike Demis Prime. I love it. Autobots assemble. So this, you give me a $10 bottle of Black Velvet, and I'll smooth as pie.
I want to sing that song now.
What's that?
Black Velvet. Black Velvet.
Oh,
yeah, it's a good song. It's way better than what I just sang. Is that holiday sweater stuff?
This is the Christmas sweater. Bad sweater. Why, have you tried it?
No.
Don't.
I'm not wasting my money on that crap.
But I guess who was it? Yeah, I guess it was the marketing. I mean, the sweater and the ingredients listed.
I mean, they got you, man. They got you. Now you must pay for your poor decision.
Ugh. I'm glad Rob is not watching this stream, so I can try to pawn this bottle off on him. It'll be the one when I host Saturday, I'll have the chili out, I'll have the plates out, the onions, the spoons. I'll just have this bottle sitting out. Like free pours all day long. No catch. And hopefully it's gone.
I'm back. Oh, dude. I was watching you on my iPad, watching you just struggle with that. It is rough. It is rough. Oh, there you go.
I'm not sure I understand why I bought it. So thank you for understanding, Siri.
My watch is here for Dan. It's really just here for Dan's enjoyment. That's all.
What's up, Jason? Is that Jason's first comment today? I think it is. I wasn't on earlier. Another Indiana native there.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's sad, speaking of which, I have played an incredibly low number of games during the holidays this year. Thanksgiving, I visited my aunt. We're playing dumb party games, like literally dumb party games. Then on Christmas, even my mom was like, "Hey, you want to play some games?" I'm tired. My mom wanted to play games. I brought a big old bag, didn't touch them. So literally, it's the number of games that I have played during the holidays this year has been awful. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's why I'm trying to make up for it this weekend.
So
I don't know. I don't know what Dan's digging at this point. Maybe it's my bad Christmas.
I think it is. It can't be
Tim's buffering. It's ruining our brand.
That is our brand at this point. What's up, Ryan? Glad you can make it, man. I played. What did I play? I don't remember. I played so many games. Oh, I played a bunch of kites. So thanks to Mingo.
How is that?
Oh, it's intense. It's intense. Played a bunch of kites, played Elder Sign, played a bunch of Marvel Remix because I got it when Barnes and Noble was crashing and blowing up and
What?
everybody.
Tell me, because I just don't know. What is kites? I mean, I see a sand
Oh.
timer.
Okay, yeah. So kites is not just one sand timer, but it's like 6 sand timers. And so you're basically trying to get through this deck of cards, and the cards have colors on them. And that tells you what sand timer to flip. So like the red sand timer, for example, gives you 30 seconds. It lasts 30 seconds before it runs out. The purple sand timer all the way on the other side is like 95 seconds or something like that, or maybe it's 65 seconds. I don't know. It's like 95 seconds. And then there's all these sand timers in between. There's a white one, which is like your main timer for the game. So any single color can flip the white timer. That's a 60-second timer.
Did you say a 95-second sand timer? That's awfully specific. Did you time that?
No, they tell you in the book how long they
Does it literally say that? Or did you just make up a number?
No, it literally says that. It literally says that.
That's just an oddly okay. Go on.
No, it's cool.
I thought you made that up.
No, I'm not that good. So, but basically you start playing these cards, and as you're flipping the timers, you need to get through the entire deck of cards without letting any of the timers run out.
Okay. Dang it, he's buffering now. Right. That's literally why I thought he made it up. I've never heard of a 90-second sand timer, let alone a 95-second sand timer. And at what point was somebody like, hey, we need those extra 35 seconds in this sand timer? And who's the guy that's like, okay, we need this many more sand molecules to equal this many more seconds? Who was that guy? He's a genius.
I don't know, man. But anyways, this game is hard as hell, but it is so much fun. It's really intense. I was playing it with Justin, and I wanted to strangle him because it's like, okay, dude, like we got to play this like quick. Well, yeah, and you can't. But he's like, I don't know what to. I'm like, dude, play something. You gotta play something. You're killing us. And so yeah, we were doing that, and it was a good time. We played Carnivalesco, which is a Sagrada killer, as we all know. That's our buddy Ron Halliday from Brazil designed that game, and it is really good. You're drafting these dice, and you've got to place them on your board in a very specific pattern, and it's so much fun. But yeah, so we played Carnivalesco. We also played, what else did we play? Oh my gosh, now I'm drawing a blank. We played a bunch of games, and it was I got the bag of them.
Yeah, that's probably the right answer, but that one just sounds better and made me laugh. Tim, have you played any other games with a sand timer? Like, I know Pendulum was a Stonemeyer one that came out.
Pendulum. Mm-hmm.
I've got Pendulum. And I've heard it wasn't that good.
It's okay.
I've never played it. Okay.
It didn't blow me away.
What about Kitchen Rush? That one actually looks fun. Really fun, actually.
I thought you had Kitchen Rush.
No, I have Rival Restaurants.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I haven't played Kitchen Rush.
That one actually looks pretty fun.
But I mean, other than like a generic sand timer that like is how long you have until your time's up, no. MD is fun. What is MD? Rush MD?
Most Def.
Oh, Kitchen Rush Most Def is fun. Cool. I don't know. Unless that's like a Rush album I'm just not aware of.
So I'm sorry. I made a joke, but then I realized we were talking about taking back a turn in a sand timer game. I had to charge my phone, so hopefully you don't lose me midstream here. What happened in playing him in a sand timer game?
Oh, I just want to strangle him because it'd be like, okay, so Justin, I'm going to play this card, and then you're going to need to flip like one of these two timers because they're almost out. And then Justin would sit there with his hand and be like, well, I could flip, like, no, dude, you got to flip one of these. And then he would be like, okay. And then like, I would throw my next card down and flip my timers like right away. And then he's like, I'm like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. But
So is it
it's good.
is it a different theme then? Is it Rush Medical Doctor? Are you like performing an emergency room surgeries on a time? And of
ER
course, Bob's
Rush.
going to take every opportunity he can to mention that game.
Yeah. Now, Bob, how long
It's
is that war
probably
room?
just for the planning phase, so people
How-
don't AP too much. And
How
it's
long is
optional.
that war room sand timer? Like 10 minutes? I bet you it's 5 to 10 minutes.
I think
bet you.
it's 9 minutes and 5 seconds.
Ooh, oddly specific. That is the secondary theme of the evening.
And you got those sand counting engineer elves that get those.
Oh, look at that. Pellets and syringes, like Dr. Mario.
I'm gonna look this game up when we get that. I'm the one that just kind of like, even though I love dry Euros, I'm tired of the dry Euro themes. You've got me with this theme and sand timers. This sounds really cool. It's 10 minutes sand timer. Bob probably went to Hot Topic and got one of those big dragon sand timers just to put in the war room box because it's the size of Tim.
Yeah. Yeah. So 3.5 feet tall.
60 pounds when he's wet and wearing boots.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. Oh, man.
Pellets and syringes. I gotta look up. I keep wanting to call it Kitchen Rush MD. It's Rush MD. Okay. Kitchen Rush MD is totally different. That is, your cooks have need surgery. I don't know. All
right, Mike. I don't know that we do it tonight because it's getting late, and I'm gonna. Oh, there's Justin. Justin is watching. We did. Justin and I actually did beat it though. We made it all the way through our deck, so I gotta give him a little bit of credit. Yeah, it took us a couple tries, but we did make it all the way through the deck. But a fun game we should play sometime while we're live streaming. And again, I don't know that we do it tonight because we're only down to like 5 people. I don't know, 7 people, whatever. But maybe what we do sometime is that we give somebody gives us a theme, and then you and I have to describe a game around that theme. We just off the top of the dome.
That would be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
That's kind of fun.
Because one time on the show, this was a few years ago, Rob Kerr, who made Conclusio, which I don't know if you played yet, but he's a local-ish guy. He lives up by Berrien Springs. We did this thing where Dan and I don't remember if Bob jumped in with us on this too, but we did a thing where we pitched games to Rob because we're like, well, you're a published game designer. We're going to pitch games to you and you tell us which ones you like best. And so anyways, hey, Mike.
That sounds fun.
Here you go. Answer this.
Yeah, it's not even really a term that necessarily applies that much anymore. It kind of used to be Ameritrash versus Euros.
So Ameritrash has dice.
Zombicide, Descent, classic Ameritrash games.
You're rolling dice. That is fundamentally the difference. Is you're rolling
Concordia, any Stefan Feld game. Agricola, Euros, that kind of stuff.
So Euros tend to have 0 luck. It is all like worker placement and like a resource or hand management, things like that. Where Ameritrash
very weak themeless essentially.
Ameritrash more had like dice chucking and a lot of luck and randomness. That's
more theme heavy.
Yeah.
But those lines have blurred a lot over the last few years, and that's why people don't even use that term a lot.
Yeah.
But, I still love some of these old dry Euros, so I still use that term frequently. But no, I'm kind of glad. Like, okay, Eric Lang, one of all of our, me and Bob, one of our favorite designers right there, Eric Lang. Mm-hmm. That guy, incredible designer, and this guy incredibly mashed territory control with action selection and then made 3 games out of it that feel like nothing I've ever played.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Rising Sun, Ankh, Blood Rage, perfect examples of hybrids. Ameritrash games mixed with heavy Euro strategies and virtually no luck at all. And of course, massive miniatures, which certainly helps. But yeah, hybrids are so much more common.
Oh, I didn't even show off. Okay, so this is, I forgot to do this earlier. So you said massive miniatures, right? This is a Cthulhu Wars. This is Cthulhu from Cthulhu Wars. Okay.
Where's the guy that? Go on. I want to make sure I see the one that looked like the last bowel movement I had.
So, oh yeah, I'll show him. So like, this is my son's little like Iron Man guy, but that's like normal size for like a miniature. And this is how big Cthulhu is.
Good Lord.
In comparison, right?
Yeah.
So, this is my really big Cthulhu miniature. And it's not even as big as the one that Simon did for Cthulhu Death May Die. Is this your bowel movement one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, I was just kind of driving and looking out the corner of my eye, and I'm like, "What? Why does Tim have one of those joke poops in his hand?"
Yeah, you know, I like joke poops.
Oh.
Yeah. So talk about big miniatures, dice chucking.
You could choke a donkey with that thing.
Yeah, and you should. You must kill all the donkeys.
It looks like a baby.
Oops. Where is it?
Yeah, agreed.
And yeah, Dan, that was a lot of fun, dude. We had a really good time. We had a really good time with that. I'm glad you remember that as fondly as I do, because that was a lot of fun. Again, though, like our production values were like garbage back then, so I don't want anybody to see it. But if you want to go back and look, and
whoops, we both tapped it at the same time.
Oh, whoops! Well, we used to joke and call them bigatures because
I love that.
But yeah, I do love my Cthulhu, and like we did like a dry brush, like a wash on them, and like also, his wings are all veiny looking and look great. There we go. Yeah, hardwood. I got a decent enough. Like I have a kitchen table basically down here in my basement. That is my board game table. Mike's got like a legit board game table that he's filming on right now, I believe. His is great because it's recessed and it's got, you know, it's Mike's table is beautiful. It's a great thing. Mine is just a repurposed, kitchen table. But we could fill it up, man. We filled this table up with Ankh. When we played Ankh for like 5 players, we were using every square inch of that thing. So,
what's the biggest table hog you think you've ever played?
Twilight Imperium? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. That's got to be the king, isn't it?
Man, I've got some table hogs, man. It just depends. Descent 3rd edition can be, hey, Andrew F., late to the party. That's all right, man. All right, Justin, get out of here with the dad jokes. Can we boot Justin from the chat? This is terrible. It's a bigature, you turd. Oh, War Room. He said War Room is his big
bigature. Not unlike my last bowel movement.
Yeah, that's also true. Oh, Dan says U-boot is a table hog.
I'm about to U-boot Dan out of the chat because another game. Just throw a U-boot mention in there just because I can.
So little do you know, when you go to Bob's and play games, you got to sit in this hot tub, and he's got all these like flotational things that you put your player pieces on. So that's why he said War Room took up his whole hot tub.
Yeah, it's the cough that won't go away. It is. Yeah, I'm just living off of cop drops, but otherwise I feel fine.
Oh,
I don't know that one. Oops. You want to talk about biggest table hog and the smallest box? To go back to this one. Where was it? I lost it.
That's right.
Castles of Burgundy, the card game. Just a regular small box. You're like, oh, this won't take up that much space. You're wrong. The cards are everywhere.
What is it? Death Angel. That's like a Warhammer 40K card game, and you're like laying out all the cards.
I remember that one.
That can take up some space, and that's just a box that big.
I've heard you gush about that game many times, Dan. I'm just giving you a hard time because you and Bob both plugged your game that you always plug. So no surprises here.
Western meets fantasy dungeon crawler hardwood. Oh, I don't know, dude.
Yeah, where was that? That was that one.
Yeah. I mean, I've got, but I haven't played Great Western Trail, but that's a Euro. Western Legends.
He's not talking about that. Was
crawler.
My next guess. That's Sandbox.
Because the board doesn't grow. You know what I mean?
It's not one of the Zombicide themes, is it?
No, that one just came out. What was it? High Noon. Dan's got the copy of the game. We got a review game that plays. It's sort of like a skirmish game. Flick 'em Up could be a table hog, but that's I don't know, man. I have to think. I have to think about that. Hardwood. I wonder if we know the same people in Michigan. I don't want to say people's names on the street.
Yeah, see, that's why I was wondering if it was that one.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have already had that. Oh yeah, Dan. I've heard Zaya, Legend of a Drift System will take up a lot of space. And Wonderland's War is certainly a
Wonderland's War, big old board, player boards, and your chips all over the place.
Yeah. Cthulhu Wars can be a table hog depending on what you're doing and how many players and what map you're using, blah, blah, blah. But I don't mind. I don't mind as long as it's fun. Who cares, right? If you got room to play, who cares? All right, Mike. What are you gonna say? What are you gonna say? Go for it.
Mosaic is actually a table hog. I think the last time Bob was at my house, they played at my side folding table, and they made it work with an extra side table. I honestly did not think it was physically possible, but they did play Mosaic on my folding table.
I'm trying to think. Was I there? Were we playing something else?
I think that was the night we were playing Ankh with Jesse, was it not?
Oh, that might have been that night. Ugh, that game of Ankh. Ankh also table hog.
That was rough.
It was rough. I still love that game. That's a testament to how good that game is, though. Like, I had a less than optimal experience, and still is just one of my favorite games of all time.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. They give you those card holders to set the cards up, and it's like, it helps. Yeah, it does help, I guess. But also at the same time, it's almost not worth the time to like use them. I think I used them when we played at Hop Station, and that's the only time I've ever used those card holders.
Oh, sure. I have not played Battle for Middle Earth hardwood, but I have. It's right down here. I have War of the Ring, but I haven't played it yet. But, But anyways, I was just gonna say that I might be turning into a pumpkin soon.
Yeah, I hear. I figured we were getting to that point.
But I have been having a great time with you guys. So I appreciate y'all that started with me with the Cthulhu Wars deep dive and then stuck through that, especially if you had no interest in it. Stuck through that, and then Mike comes in and saves the day. it makes it interesting for other people to get sick of me just yapping at you. But no, we really love these Wednesdays. You guys are the best, and it is fun for me to talk about like my favorite game, Cthulhu Wars. I'm happy to do it. If y'all want to talk strategy and everything like that, hop in there, and we will, we can get down and dirty. I'm happy to give you all my secrets and my thoughts. But at the same time, the most fun is for me is interacting with Mike and you guys in the comments and going back and forth and coming up with stuff. And Mike, so next time, that's what we're gonna do. We are gonna have people pitch us game ideas. No, they're gonna give us
a theme,
and
or
you
IP.
and I, and then you and I are gonna explain what that game should be. We can give our own version. And then we'll let them decide whose was better. How's that sound?
Oh, wow.
How's that sound?
So are you wanting to come up with the game ideas on the fly?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Be on your toes. Somebody's like, I want a Rainbow Bright game. And you're like, okay.
Have you played Unicorn Fever?
Yeah. But give that last one to Dan real quick. Yeah, expand. Yeah, Talisman with everything is nuts. Jeff, always good to see you, man. This show was for you. Hopefully it helped and was insightful and interesting. And again, feel free to message me. We're all on the Discord. You can private message us. You could just jump in the regular group and hang with us. We are all there all the time, very accessible, happy to reach out and talk to you. And Hardwood, man, thanks for showing up for the first time. Welcome to the group. Always welcome, dude. Always welcome. Like we do this every Wednesday and oftentimes other times during the week as well. So, oh, look at this, Justin. Come up with a game where you have to muck the barn stalls. No, you can't tell us what we got to do. You got to give us a theme, and then we tell you what you do in the game to score points. Justin, you're doing it wrong.
I guess he's going all the way back to the 50s. He wants a Mr. Ed game. So,
I like that. Or you could do the Herculean tasks, where one of those is cleaning all the stalls, like, so it's, I forget how many he did, 7 or 10 of them. Oh, hold on. Here we go. Stablemate. That's the name of the game.
Whoa.
So here's the thing, Jason, is I don't have that game, but I have the sequel, and it's the dancing concessions from the movie theater commercial. Let's all go to the movies, right? So you've got to set, collect, and build the perfect concession stand thing to bring back to your date at the theater inside. But you've got to deal with like people in line, and then do you need butter? Is there too much butter? I got this. Let's go.
My game was actually going to be a worker placement game with a time travel mechanic where you are actually trying to build the most energy efficient kitchen appliance. But see, the thing is, you need resources from the future to make the most energy efficient appliances. So you're going to borrow those resources from yourself.
Listen,
from the future.
You can't reskin Anachrony but then the side effect of your resource from the future is that it makes your appliance anthropomorphic and it starts talking to you. And Jason, I subscribe to the Paula Deen School of Cooking. There is no such thing as too much butter, so I agree with you there.
The dishwasher anachrony. That's all me. Me.
Dishachrony. Well, all right, guys, you have been amazing as usual, and even Bob and Dan can't resist. Oh God, here we go.
Not amazing per usual. All you have to do is just make a reference to anachrony and everything. Right. Oh my God!
Right. Just need time travel. Time travel. But
Totally my idea, though.
anyways, guys, y'all have a great night. It's been a blast. Like, subscribe, do all those things, because then you'll get a notification when we go live.
Yes.
If you're in the Discord, you'll see when we go live. If you follow us on Facebook, you might see when we go live. You know, all those things. So,
or just show up every Wednesday at 8. We'll have whiskey.
Every Wednesday at 8. And yeah, Bobby, you know we love you. You know we love you, even if we hate Sniper Elite. All right, guys, for the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
I used to be Mike.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.